Hey, welcome back to Mocktails with Marina. I'm your host, Marina, and if you're new around here, this show is all about building powerful, intentional businesses in the non-alc space without burnout, without BS, and without boring branding. Today, I'm going to say something bold. Nobody cares what's in your bottle. Nobody cares what's in their drink. They care how they feel when they're drinking it. Now, of course, there's a lot to that statement, right? Yes, they care to a certain extent, but to be honest, what people care about tends to be what intense stories have been told to them about someone who has experienced whatever that drink or ingredient is. At the end of the day, stories are more important than straight up facts. I see so many incredible founders obsess over functional ingredients, sourcing, adaptogens, flavor profiles, and don't get me wrong, all of these are important, but that's not what people buy. Now, if you're having conversations with other non-alc founders or people who are on the inside in know-how, the super nerds, the people who really love this space, of course they're going to be interested in those details, but that is not going to be the majority of anybody's demographic. Like, those might be your favorite or your loudest customers, but they are not the majority. So if you've been spending all of your energy trying to educate your audience into making a purchase, this episode just might change everything for you. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so to reiterate this point one more time, no one is going to fall in love with your brand specifically because you're using ashwagandha or lion's mane. They're going to love you and your brand because your brand makes them feel calm or elevated, sexy, powerful, rebellious, whatever it is. It helps people fall into whatever they want to be feeling. People buy emotion, not information. They buy because they want to feel like the person that your brand represents. Okay, so think about it. Red Bull is not just caffeine and taurine, which are the main ingredients. It's adrenaline and energy. Side note, super cool fact about Red Bull, they have the biggest marketing budget of any beverage brand in the world. They spend an insane amount of money paying the coolest athletes and the most outrageous people to simply do outrageous, outstanding, superhuman things. There's one commercial I'll never forget where there was a train that had an entire bike track on it, right? So someone on a motorcycle doing all these super cool stunts while the train is moving in the middle of the desert, and it is pure energy, pure adrenaline. It makes you feel like you are about to go skydiving, right? So they've painted this picture in our heads for so long that just when we crack open that little can and see it, we already know what experience we're going to have without reading the label, right? So your non-alc brand needs to have that similar amount of emotional anchor energy. So stop listing ingredients and start crafting identity. Another example of this is Celsius. When they first started, they marketed as a very health first, not health necessarily, more so like fat burning, like this is good for you if you're as a pre-workout, if that's what your goal is. And that did not it had a glass ceiling of sales. So when they redid the branding, they redid what the cans look like. Now it's one of the best sellers in the United States as well. Now, we don't only have to talk about beverage brands here. Of course, the same goes for different kava bars, non-alc lounges, bottle shops, you name it. Every time that you are focused on the ingredients or on, for example, what is on your menu literally, then you're going to be missing out on 90% of the storytelling, okay? Because the number one branding mistake, you're over-educating instead of making people feel. We see this mistake constantly. We see people writing captions like it's a nutrition label. People are making infographics, teaching instead of selling the feeling and letting people know what they're going to experience, what they can expect before they walk into the bar. I've seen so many kava bars say the exact same ChatGPT response about what kava is, trying to educate people on their pages. But let me tell you, it tells me nothing other than the fact that you use ChatGPT to figure this out. It tells me nothing about why your kava specifically is different from everybody else's, right? We'll give another example. Let's say you're launching a non-alc wine. If you talk about antioxidants, adaptogens, zero sugar, we're not going to get too far with that. But if you just said, this is what you drink when you want to feel like a bad bitch and still wake up glowing the next morning, right? Like that puts a picture in your head that sells. Look, education has its place. I am a big fan of educating. Obviously, I am here doing that so often. But it's the supporting act. It's never the headliner. Like if we're talking inside business strategy, like there's a difference between getting people to come listen to the pitch and get excited. And then it's another thing to answer their questions. That's where education comes in. It's the second step, the answering of the questions. The education comes naturally. You want to entice them. You want to get them thinking and wanting to know the answer so that they're asking you to tell them. They're asking you to educate. But if they're not asking because you're just reading off the nutrition label, that's not, what point is there in communicating with you on a human level when you sound like a Google response, right? People don't want to learn something new. They want to feel something familiar or they want to feel better. And when they feel something through your content, your packaging, your storytelling, your atmosphere, they buy, they come back, they subscribe, they tell friends, and that is how you create momentum. And side note, if this is clicking for you and you're thinking, okay, Marina, I need more of this, then you're going to love Bula Boss. Inside Bula Boss, our flagship program, we don't just teach you how to run a business, but we teach you how to build a movement. We cover brand identity, emotional storytelling, vibe-first marketing, community building, and sustainable operations that don't burn you out. So you can go ahead and check out the details after this episode. You can head to marinamars.com/Bula Boss, or you can DM me on Instagram. Just simply say Bula Boss, and I'll send all the info your way. Okay, so how do we craft an identity that people actually want to be a part of, right? Let's talk about that. How do you actually sell a vibe? Well, number one, you have to start by asking, what does my customer want to feel? We have to tap into their emotions. What kind of person do they want to be seen as while they're holding this drink? What do they believe in? What do they want to rebel against? What do they want to crusade for? Then, and only then, only once you know who they are, do you build everything around that. That is your menu. That is your packaging. That includes the photos that you're going to be using, right? Your events, the music you listen to in a space if you run a bar, right? All of these things are focused. And this isn't about faking it. It's about being intentional, understanding your identity and the identity of those you serve. And side note, just because your identity works in one place, that doesn't mean it's going to work in another neighborhood. You can have a wildly successful bar, a wildly successful brand. It works really well in one region, and then you try to move and duplicate the exact same thing in another region. You may be surprised, oh, why am I not seeing the same success? Because you have to ask yourself, is the exact same copy-paste person visiting each location, or is my person a traveler? How are you going to get into the psyche of the people that are actually going to physically be walking in the door or physically be holding and drinking your drinks, right? You want to build a brand where every interaction reinforces the emotion that you are selling with. So, for example, if your vibe is ritual and wellness, your entire brand should feel like a breath of fresh air, right? This should show up in your marketing. It should be spacious, perhaps minimalist or comfortable, soft, nothing hard, edgy. But if your vibe is party hard, no regrets, then everything should feel electric, vibrant, wild, unapologetic, right? Because people don't want to just buy your product, your service. They want to join your world. That's That's why Starbucks sells a third place. They don't just sell coffee. That's why kava bars build community. That's why your brand needs more identity than information. So think about it this way. Your drink is not the main character, but your customer is. So this is something I try to drill into every founder that I work with. Your drink is not the hero. Your customer is. Your product is simply their vehicle, right? The drink is the Batmobile. Your customer is Batman. If they feel better, cooler, safer, sexier, freer when drinking it, that's the story you want to tell. So stop trying to prove your worth. Okay? Stop trying to prove your worth. Ingredients and trying to say it's worth this, that, and the other and trying to nickel and dime to see, what is the value of what you're selling? No, that is a scarce mindset approach. We want to amplify the value of the person who's drinking it, okay? So by making people feel more confident, by helping people arrive at a solution that they already want to come to, you're not trying to convince them that they need the solution in their life. They're already searching for it. And you are providing the answer. You are making them feel seen. They feel understood. You're making them feel like your product was made just for them. That's how you build loyalty. When you do that and you stop selling ingredients, you sell that identity. And that is how brands are born that develop a cult-like following, that have those loyal for life customers that allow you to have a somewhat standard, comfortable base to operate off of, essentially. All right, if this episode is lighting a fire, like I mentioned, I think you're ready for Bula Boss. Doors are absolutely open as of this recording, and the movement is growing. So whether you are just starting out or leveling up, this is where you want to learn how to run a non-alc business that actually feels like you. So again, you can go to marinamars.com/Bula Boss to learn more info on that. And real quick before I let you go, this is a jam-packed episode. I have so many important things to say, and I want to make this bite-sized. I know I'm mentioning a lot about how ingredients, aren't the star of the show. But that being said, of course, our non-alc establishments are going to have functional ingredients. They do matter. That is what people seek out. But the majority of this episode was very specifically about when you're building your brand identity, how are you different from the kava bar down the street, the non-alc bar, or bottle shop down the way. Even if you don't have a competitor in your region, you will soon, okay? Because if you're the first in your area, other people are going to see you're going to be successful. There is going to be a wave. Because even though, yes, you're an innovator in your area, none of us invented this movement, okay? So we are all inspiring others with every breath and every step we take. That's why you don't want to sit on an idea too long. You want to make sure you take action, and everything that's on your menu needs to be intentional. If it's there, it needs to tell a story. And beyond that, side note, if you are at all whatsoever worried about the liability, the legality of any of the functional ingredients that you are selling, this is the last little note specifically for you. So functional ingredients can be one of your biggest assets, absolutely, if you know how to talk about them in the right way and keep your business legally protected while you're doing it. So that's why I'm building something brand new called the Functional Ingredient Legal Map. It's a 50-state Notion dashboard tracking where common functional ingredients like kava, ashwagandha, kratom, and more other banned, restricted, or just generally up in the air type herbs. We talk about all of that. We track all of it and more inside of this database. So whether you're launching a menu, a CPG product, or just want to make sure you're not accidentally breaking the law with your bestseller, this map gives you lifetime access to real-time info in plain English that I will be consistently updating. So you're going to know exactly what you can and cannot say and where you can sell without drama. If you want early access to this, just email me at hello@marinamars.com and I will personally send you the details. So as always, thank you so much for tuning in today. I want you to go out there, sell the vibe, and as always, if you need anything, just let me know.